Hey everybody, this is Stauffer with PSP. I'm going to be starting class in 5 minutes. If you'd like to follow along with the class, you know what equipment we're going to need. Basically, you're going to need something relatively heavy, and that's pretty much the only thing. So I know not everybody has equipment. Obviously, I have a kettlebell. It's just 35 pounds, but it'll probably do the job. So obviously, if you got some weights, that'd be a good option. I'm going to be using my backpack. I have tied it up a whole bunch, so not really many of the straps are showing. I've already decided where I'm going to grab the backpack. That's generally a pretty good idea, because you want to make sure that you don't grab onto the side of it somewhere and a strap comes undone and you punch yourself in the face. Stay tuned to see if that'll happen to me. But you want to have something relatively heavy, okay? So I've actually taken a 45-pound sandbag and just slid it right into this bag. So that's what I'm going to be using for the workout today. Other options, I've got one of these IKEA bags. I put some canned goods and actually a couple tubs of protein in here. They're relatively sturdy. They're not going to hold up to like 40, 50 pounds, so just be aware of that. But you can grab them. They are relatively heavy. I promise we're going to be doing enough reps so you're going to get a workout in. You just have to make sure that you either tie them or tape them so stuff's not going to go anywhere. So that's another thing. Finally, the old standby, a jug of water, whatever. This is just an old jug that I had some milk in, obviously. It will also do the job in a pinch. Is it ideal? Are you going to set any PRs with this? Probably not. But the good thing is it's a nice little bodyweight circuit we're about to do. And it's mostly the result is going to be you using your body to move through space. That's really where we're going to get a lot of the effect. So find something heavy. You have just 2 or 3 minutes before we get started. Oh, one more thing. If you have a band, I'll also be showing a couple of ways. I'll do a couple of exercises with the band. So if you're interested in using the band, this option will also be there as well. One more thing as an option for something heavy, I have my bag here, my heavier kind of style bag. Really, any duffel bag will do. Again, the big trick is going to be not to overload it. This is my bag that PSP gave me. I've filled it with a bunch of clothes. Is it crazy heavy? Not really. You put some clothes inside of, or wrapped around some cans and stuff. It'll protect your floor. And once again, it'll be better than nothing. Easy enough to grab onto the sides of it without having to grab the handles or anything like that. So again, there's another option for you. All right, guys. So I'd say we're close enough to 2 o'clock to get started. So first off, my name's Rich. I'm a fitness instructor with Edmonton Garrison. I have been for the last 9 years, so I've been doing this for a little while. This is certainly my first go at the going live online thing, so bear with me if I throw a little too many ums and ahs in there. We're going to be doing a force prep circuit today, so it's going to be primarily aimed at the force test. Obviously, I do not have 20 continuous meters in my basement here, so we're not going to be doing a whole bunch of running around. We're focusing more on the strength and endurance aspect without doing so much of the running. But we're going to certainly make do here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and read our disclosure. Required to read it every single beginning of every single class. So just bear with me while I bang through this real quick. So in response to COVID-19, PSP is offering tele-fitness to Canadian Armed Forces members. By using social media platforms, the tele-fitness classes tailored to CAF members become accessible to all. Participants who are not Canadian Armed Forces members recognize and acknowledge that their age, health status, and physical fitness level are unknown, and it is entirely up to each individual to assess their ability to participate in this class. And since it's preferable to consult your physician before beginning any exercise program, we invite you, all participants who are not CAF members, to consult the Get Active questionnaire of the Canadian Society of Exercise Physiology and its reference documents. If you experience any pain or difficulty during the exercises presented in this video, it is recommended that you stop and consult a healthcare provider. If you are a Canadian Armed Forces member and you injure yourself or sustain an injury, please remember to fill out a CF98. All right, So hopefully that'll be all the staring at the board that I get done during this class. Okay, so a couple of things here. I'm not going to be playing any music. I want to make sure you guys can hear what I have to say. So feel free to play your own music as we're doing this thing along. So again, I don't think it would sound very good coming through my phone anyway, so I think you're probably better off that way. So what we're going to do to start out with is we are going to do a little bit of a warm-up. So what we're going to start out with is just a 1 minute of jogging on the spot. I've got a little bit of space here, so I'm going to do a little bit of jogging back and forth. But once again, 1 minute, either just jogging back and forth, or like me, a little tap and go. All right, halfway. Good job. Swing those arms, keep the blood pumping a little bit. If you're doing the jogging in place thing, try to think about getting your knees a little bit higher, swing those arms a little bit, get the blood pumping. 10 more seconds. Keep it going. All right. Okay, so we'll call that good for our minute of jogging. Just again, to get the blood pumping. We're going to continue to do stuff that'll get the blood pumping during the warm-up, but now we're just going to do a little bit of active kind of mobility stuff. Okay, so we're going to start out with a little bit of a world's greatest stretch. Adaptation here. What you're going to do is squeeze the glute of the back leg, push hips forward. I've got my left leg back, so we'll use that in the first example. You're going to push hips forward and look over that forward leg. Ideally, if my hips are facing this way, try to get my shoulders to face this way. Couple breaths there. Throw the hand up in the air just like that. And you're going to reach to the side. Should feel a nice stretch up through the lat. It's not totally necessary that you show your midriff off when you do the reach, but you feel free if you'd like. Okay, both hands down. You're going to hop the back leg towards the wall behind you. And now you're just going to sink between sink the hips down between the feet. Just like this right here. Nice stretch for the front of the back leg. Back of the front leg. You're going to take this forward arm. Reach up towards the ceiling just like that. Or pardon me, the inside arm I should say. Try to stack those shoulders on top of each other. Swing the arm around to the outside of the foot. Toes come up. Shove back into a nice little hamstring stretch. If this isn't working for you, you can also let that knee come down just like that as well. Again, target the hamstring. Okay, on the other side, squeeze the glute, push hips forward. Nice stretch for the front of the hip just like that. Then we'll look over the forward leg. Just like that right there. Again, probably not going to get the shoulders squared up to this wall, but that's the direction we're going. Nice stretch through the spine. We're going to add that arm in there. Reaching up towards the ceiling, elevating that shoulder a little bit. Trying to get that palm up. And get that hand back a little bit. All right, after a couple of breaths there, 2 hands down the front. Hop the back leg towards the wall behind you. Couple of breaths there. Inside arm goes up towards the ceiling again. Try to stack those shoulders a little bit. Couple breaths there. Outside of the foot. Toes come up. Just like that. All right. Next thing, we're going to do a little bit of a stretch for the, little bit of squat stretch for the hamstrings. We're going to be doing a lot of lifting today, so we want to make sure we warm up the lower body accordingly. You're going to reach down, get yourself in a nice deep squat position. Shift the hips around just ever so slightly. Then you're going to exhale, push up, so you're looking between your knees. Just like that. Knees don't have to totally straighten, obviously mine aren't. Back up into that squat. Now I'm going to squeeze my shoulder blades together. Push those knees out. You can also do this as well. If you can keep your feet where they need to be. My floor is a little slippery, so I'm sliding out. Back into this. Just exhale into the hamstring there. One more. Again, try to get that chest out, squeeze the shoulder blades together. We're also activating some of the musculature in the upper back as we do this. One more time in the hamstring stretch. All right, come up out of that. Okay, next up, we're gonna just do some more activation for the upper back. We're gonna start out laying on the floor, just like this right here. You're going to make sure you guys can see what I'm up to. Elevate your shoulders, even though your abs are on nice and tight, so you're not blowing up like this. You're really making sure that it comes from the shoulders. You can go back to this position here, raise the arms up, lower, back here. We're going to do that 5 times. Make sure your hands go up here. You don't crunch your shoulders up by your ears. You keep some good separation between your shoulders and your ears. Make sure you still have a little bit of a neck as you do that. All right, next thing we're going to do is a scat push-up. So from here, we are not going to bend our elbows. We're just going to be moving through our upper back, taking our shoulder blades, rotating them around, or moving them around the upper back a little bit, the rib cage, I should say, just like that. So what we're going to do is from here, you stack your hands over top, or your shoulders over top of your hands, sink down into that, and come back up, just like that. 10 reps. Perfect. Good. From here, we're just going to go into a quick little bit exercise just to get the heart rate up a little bit more, just with your body weight, no equipment required. We're going to start out with 5 push-ups. Awesome. From here, you're going to stand up. You're going to do 2 lunges, step back lunges on each side. Okay, and then squats. Just 5. Awesome. Back to the push-ups. Doesn't have to be 5. Whatever a warm-up amount of push-ups is for you, that's what I want you to do. Two lunges on each side. And some squats. 5's great. Awesome. Okay, hopefully, like me, you're a little warm. A little bit of sweat on your forehead is a good indicator of that. So we're going to back up from the camera, and then I'm going to talk about the first circuit. Okay, so for this first circuit, we are going to do 4 exercises, 30 seconds at a time, okay? First one, nice and simple, we are going to do a hand release burpee. I'm going to specify step back. If you want to jump back, that's fine, but I'm going to do the step back version. So what I mean by that is step back, push-up position, into that bottom of the push-up, hand release, come back up, push-up, step back, and stand up. You can alternate the legs and step back each time, whatever you like. I personally prefer to kind of pick a side for the beginning. Maybe the next round I'll do the other side. But we want to make sure we get a little more mobility and practice that pattern on each side. So that's going to be the first one. Next up, we are going to grab our ruck or heavy item or whatever. You're going to keep the item high up on your chest, just like this. And we're going to do a step back lunge with that weight. Okay, and you're going to alternate each time. Next up, our heavy item will be on the floor. You're going to make sure you grab a nice sturdy strap or handle that you can pretty much pick up the whole thing. I would suggest if it's you're using a backpack or a ruck, you grab both of the actual straps that can tolerate the load of the object. That's generally going to be your best bet. Okay? So you're going to get into a lunge position. Hand can be on the thigh or elbow on the thigh. And you're going to drive that elbow up nice and high. Is it ideal that my item is touching the ground? It's not great, but it'll kind of help make sure you end up doing things with a little bit of a dead start and dead stop. Help you reset the shoulder between reps if required. We're going to do that on both sides, and we're going to do that for about 30 seconds a piece. We'll then take our 30 seconds for each of those sides, and we're going to take 1 minute rest. We're going to do the whole thing 3 times. Okay? So get yourself ready with your item kind of somewhere nearby. I'll try to stand back so I don't cut my head off here. And we're going to start this thing up right away. Okay, let's go. Step back lunge to the hand release push-up. Okay. Halfway. All right, guys, grab your heavy item, 30 seconds. Gently lowering that knee to the floor. One more. All right. Ready for that row. Halfway. Keep going, guys. Back is nice and flat, not rounding. As horizontal torso as you can tolerate. And switch sides. Good job, guys. Drum that elbow up as high as it'll go on each rep. All right, 1 minute rest. So in this time after the first round, you might have found like, hey, these straps are kind of crappy to grab onto. You might want to find yourself a better spot on the bag for different exercises. Just play around with it. Again, it's not going to be perfect. This isn't going to be your perfect workout, but definitely at least get the blood pumping, do a little bit of maintenance work here for sure. 30 seconds left to rest. So for my next round, I'm going to do the same thing, but this next time, I'm going to use the band for a little bit of extra resistance. And I'm going to leave the ruck, or my backpack, I should say, out of things. All right, so let's start it out with a hand release burpee. Go ahead, guys. Almost forgot. All right, next exercise is going to be that step back lunge. If I've got a band, I'm probably going to leave that alone for this one. You can step on the band, stand up. I'm probably not that coordinated, so I'm just going to do a lunge. We'll use my ruck for this one. Obviously, you can just use body weight if you don't want to risk the band. Already over time. I'm using the band for the row. Easiest thing to do is step on it and row it up. Just like that. Flatten that back out. Control the way up and the way down. Pause at the top, it's not a bad idea. Go ahead and switch sides. I knew I did that different. Keep that back nice and flat. 5 seconds left. All right, minute of rest. So take a breath. I know I will be. The 45-pound ruck's a little heavier than I thought it would be, but I'll probably give it a go for the next round. Leave the band behind. Again, like I said earlier, if you haven't been doing your recycling lately, you got a couple of these hanging out in the house, they will certainly be better than nothing. The majority of the resistance with these body weights or with these lighter circuits is simply moving your body through space. I weigh 180 pounds. This thing weighs 40 pounds. It's external load, so it's heavy, but again, just doing the movements with my body weight and a little bit of external load certainly does something. Okay, we're gonna go back to that step back hand release burpee. 3, 2, 1, go. All right, that lunge. Keeping that sandbag up nice and high. Shoulder blades are pinched back. Chest stays relatively vertical. Don't bow forward like this. Chest stays up. All right, we're good. Back into that row. Go ahead and switch sides. All right, a little bit of rest. Okay, so we're gonna say goodbye to that circuit and we're gonna move to the next circuit. So give you a minute, I'll explain, we'll get right into things. Job so far, guys, hopefully you're working hard. I don't know if it shows up in the screen, but I'm sweating profusely and breathing hard. So I'm working hard. All right, so the next ones are a little bit more directly applicable to the force test. Again, we're going to go with the same exact things we do before, 30 seconds for 4 exercises. And then we're going to take a little breather, do the whole thing again. We're going to aim for 3 rounds. All right. So what we're going to start with is with the bag or the rock or whatever heavy thing you got laying around. You're going to pick it up, you're going to press, set it down. Pick it up, press it towards, it would be the wall if you're doing the force test. I'm just going to press it forward. You don't need to go to full extension just like you don't do in the force test. You're about this close to the wall. If you're a shorter person, maybe lift a little higher. If you're a taller person, probably just hanging out at your hips is going to get you there. Okay, so that's the first exercise. Next exercise, I'm just going to get that nice and high up on the chest. I'll be giving it a bear hug, or in this position here, I'm going to squat. Full extension at the top, breaking parallel at the bottom. Next up, we're going to do a wall sit. I'm going to use this space over here. I'm just off to the side, but you can still see me. Chest is going to be up the wall. What we're actually going to do with this one is, if you want to add some challenge, keep it nice and high up on the chest. Squeeze the abs nice and tight. Don't let that core get too lazy on this one. So we're going to push right up against the wall like that. So find a wall that's clear stuff. You wall sit on for 30 seconds. And finally, we're going to do a deadlift, Romanian deadlift with the ruck. So what we're going to focus on there is you're going to start with it up just like this. You're going to bend at the knees, push the hips back, keep that back nice and straight, and stand up. Just like that. What we're aiming for here, feeling a nice stretch in those hammies, standing up, squeeze the glutes hard at the top. Okay? So that's next on the list. We're going to start that up in about 10 seconds. So get ready. Remember, 30 seconds of work. We're going to start with that ruck deadlift with the press. So we're going to get the feet nice and wide so we can kind of go around our object or ruck. And we're going to start it up. Let's go. Pick it up, lift and press. Make sure you use those legs and press. As you're lifting, try to keep those shoulders up, shoulders back, I should say. Obviously, if you're lifting a backpack or ruck or whatever, you might have to play with the position until you get one that really works for you, but that's all right. We're already 33 seconds in. We're doing some squats. Good job, guys. Keep it up. All right, over the wall. Once you got that wall sit established, if you can't, get that ruck up. Backs against the wall. And we're done. Good job, guys. Last thing, 20 seconds left. Do that RDL. Again, back nice and flat. Slow it down just a little bit. All right, minute of rest. Keep it up. Get a quick little sip of water. And we'll be finished. We are halfway through. You're gonna be breathing pretty heavily. I'm working hard. How are you doing? All right, my timer reset, which means it's probably time to go. Yes, I am breathing very hard. Thanks for noticing, Audie. All right, let's go. 30 seconds, that lift and press. Make sure you use those legs in the bottom portion of the lift, guys. All right, that's 30 seconds in. We are going to go to that squat. A couple extra lifts in there, but that's okay. Keep the chest up. That's for 30 seconds. Next up, you got wall sit. Get the wall sit first. Then when you're ready, get that sandbag up. All right, a couple extra seconds of wall sit there, no big deal. Finish up with that RDL. Again, grab onto that ruck, push hips back, feel those hamstrings. You're gonna be rounding through the back, it's no good. And that's time. All right. I worked so hard, I'm going to give myself 2 minutes. 2 minutes of rest. We got one last round. I'm going to move on to something else. A little less heavy, but still work. 1 more minute. Good job keeping after it, guys. Quick little technique review for all these exercises. With that ruck deadlift with the press, again, you don't need to go all the way out. You don't need to crunch your shoulders forward. Just a little push, just like you do during the force test. Just get those arms out as far as you can control, then bring them on back in. No sense bringing them way back here. It pulls you out of balance. For the squat, just like any other squat, chest stays relatively vertical. Okay, we've got the weight up front, so it's kind of helping us out with that already. If you want to throw it on your back, you may, but again, I kind of like having it front loaded myself. Keeps the chest up nice and vertical. And obviously you're bending through your knees, get your hips down, as opposed to dropping the chest down, okay? Wall sit, abs and glutes are nice and tight. You're pushing your back against the wall. You might have seen me fatiguing, rounding my back. Shouldn't be doing that, you shouldn't either. So just make sure you're paying attention to that. For that ruck RDL, again, I'm showing you guys the side view, just to really drive home the point. That back stays relatively straight. You notice my shins stay relatively vertical throughout that movement as well. Also very important. All right, well, I've talked enough that I'm not totally out of breath anymore. We're gonna do one last round. Let's do it. All right, next thing, we're squat. this time, or close enough to it. We're going to wall sit next. Like me, you're running out of gas. Just get that wall sit for the last 5 seconds. All right, finish up with RDLs. Nice slide back. Squeeze your butt hard at the top. So lucky us, no more rock. We're going to do more aerobic portion of the class now. So what we're going to do is for 10 minutes, we're going to go through the following AMRAP. Okay, so that means as many rounds as possible. 10 minutes, we're going to bang through this little circuit. We're going to do 5 burpees, any style you want. I'm going to do that hand release. I'm not going to jump my burpees out. I'm going to step them back. Okay. So I'm going to do them just like before with the step back, chest down, hands up, step forward, just like that. Okay, a little bit of a hop. Then you're going to do 10 mountain climbers. The way we're going to do them today is 10 reps is just 10 total reps. You don't have to double up, do 1 to get 1 rep kind of thing. For our purposes for this, we're going to be just fine doing just 10. We'll get more, it's for time, so we'll get more rounds in anyway. What that's going to look like from the side here is 2 options. You could go 1 foot, 2 feet, or what we're not going to do is a big jump and switch. If you have to do that big jump, revert to that first style where you just do 1 leg at a time and keep the core relatively on, keep the spine relatively neutral. Finally, we're going to do 15 air squats. And again, we're going to repeat that for 10 minutes. Now with this one, we're at the back end of the program, or back end of the workout. This is purely a conditioning tool. There's not a lot of force test elements in here other than general. You know, squatting is good for the sandbag lift. Also, if you go heavy enough, good for the drag. Mountain climbers are relatively good core. And it gets you breathing in an uncomfortable position, which is something you definitely have to be good at if you are doing the sandbag drag. That's a tough one for you, or even with the bag up on the shoulder like in the intermittent loaded shuttle. And the air squat, again, just general strength and endurance conditioning tool. Okay, so I'll give you 1 more minute before we start on that, and then we're going to move into, again, a 10-minute AMRAP. One thing I'll say about this is, again, we're at the back end of the workout. I'm a little bit fatigued already myself, for sure. So I'm not going to crash into this thing as hard as I can for the first minute and a half and then sloppily stumble through it for 8 minutes. Very likely my technique will kind of start up here and go right into the tank if I begin by going as hard as I can. So what I'm going to encourage you guys to do is pick a reasonable level of effort that you can maintain for the full 10 minutes. It doesn't need to be slow. I'm not talking about having a seat in the chair and you know, having an extra couple drinks of water while you rest 5 minutes of this work period out. That's not what I mean at all. But I do want you to kind of make a little bit of a plan and try to stick to that. For me personally, I'm going to do 5 burpees. I'll take between 1 and 5 breaths. Then I'm going to do my mountain climbers. My mountain climbers, I'll probably stick a little closer to 5 breaths. Then I'm going to get into my air squats. Try to catch my breath a little bit while I'm doing squats. Then I'm going to go straight into the burpees. Depending on how that feels at the end. Again, that 5 breaths between each exercise is going to be a really good way to kind of help you catch your breath, okay? So, yeah, let's do it. I don't know if that was quite a minute, but I'm all ready to go if you are. So let's go ahead. Start with 5 burpees. Sadly, I've already lost count, so I'll go ahead and do one more. Counting never was my strong suit. Mountain climbers. All right, I went ahead and disregarded my advice on not doubling up the reps, but that's okay. A couple extra won't hurt. Again, breathe it out during the squats. All right, get a little break between rounds. Take those 5 breaths now. Okay, back into those burpees. It's 1. Keep it up, guys. Five breaths. Again, this is just what I'm doing. If you want to go a little bit fewer rests than me, that's fine. A little fewer breaths. 5 is going to work for me. All right. Air squats. A couple more breaths. We're 2.5 minutes in. Take these a little slower. Try and catch my breath. All right. That's one more round. That's 2 rounds done. We're 3 minutes in. All right, we're gonna do my burpees. After 3 breaths, we're on the mountain climbers. All right, and squats. Five breaths. All right, let's do some more burpees. Good job, guys. Keep going. Almost there. 4.5 minutes left. And mountain climbers. All right, air squats. Good job, guys. 3.5 minutes left. See how many more rounds you can get. Couple of breaths. Those mountain climbers. Just over 2.5 minutes, guys. And the squats. Two minutes. Keep it up, guys. It's okay if you're going faster than me. Please continue. All right, guys. At least one more round. Go for at least one more full round. See if you can get back to burpees. We got 90 seconds. All right, mountain climbers. Last minute. Squats. Good job, guys. Keep it up. There you go, guys. 30 seconds. Obviously, I lost count of my squats. We'll call that 15. Burpees, 10 seconds. And that's time. Okay. Walk around a little bit, catch your breath. Start a little bit of a cool down. Don't chug too much water. Nice deep breaths. Kind of slow down that heart rate a little bit. Start to recover. Don't just lay down on the floor because you worked hard. If you can, get up. If you're so dizzy you can't stand up, maybe put the brakes on a little bit more breathing between exercises on the next one. Just a little bit of walking back and forth around your room. We're gonna do that for 1 more minute. Good job, guys. That is the end of the workout. We're a little cool down, and that's it. "30 more seconds of walking around. As you're doing that, just start to shake things out a little bit. Don't go way back and way forward. Just move the arms around a little bit. Kind of get the blood moving around a little bit. It's good to keep the body moving. It's part of the cool down. We don't want to just plop down on the floor and start stretching right now. We want to kind of keep things moving a little bit. 10 seconds. We're going to start to get into a more active cool down. All right, so we're going to stay standing for just a minute here. We're going to work from the shoulders first. What I want you to do is 2 thumbs up just like this right here. You're going to turn your palm up. Exhale and reach back. 5 times. Exhaling into that nice subtle stretch. Should be real subtle for the front of the shoulder and the pec. Just a little tiny stretch. Potentially if you straighten your arms a little bit, you might feel the biceps. That's okay. Again, we're not going for a 10 out of 10 stretch here. 3, 4, 5 out of 10 tops. You don't want to move into a painful range. It can be uncomfortable, but at this point, we don't really want to get to anything that's too painful here, okay? We just want to kind of loosen things up a little bit, get them back to where they were before we started working out. Our legs are going to be tight, so we're going to do a little bit of stretching of the legs. Same thing with the shoulders and that kind of thing. We're not trying to gain a lot of flexibility here. We're more trying to get back to where we were before. If we want to do some flexibility stuff, we can do that a little bit later on in the day. All right, guys, so we're going to go back to that world's greatest stretch. It's pretty good, which is why I use it fairly often. I want you to think about squeezing the glute of the back leg. That's my left in this case. And you're going to push your hip forward. Should feel a nice stretch in the front of this leg. What do you mean by push your hip forward? Is I want you to do this as opposed to arching your back. So shove that hip forward, lean into that a little bit. Then you look over that forward leg, maintain that hip position. Back is relatively vertical. Proud chest is a good way to kind of turn that. Hand goes up in the air. So again, my left knee's down, my left hand's up. I'm going to reach away from the side, from you guys in this case. A couple of breaths there. Then I'm going to reach down towards the floor, my instep, or my hands on the instep of my foot. I'm going to hop back towards the wall behind me, and I'm pushing my hips down with a relatively straight back. Okay, if this doesn't do anything for me, I can drop my elbow down into a nice stretch there, but this works great for me, so I'm going to keep it there. Exhale, reach up. You're stacking the shoulders on top of each other. Couple of breaths there. Hand goes to the outside of the foot. Toes come up. Shove back into a nice little hamstring stretch. Again, if you need to, just like at the beginning, that works just fine too. A little bit more bang for your buck with the other stretch. Primary target's a hamstring, so that's what we want to do. Okay. Now I'm going to throw my other leg out in front. Squeeze glute, hips forward. Again, hips aren't back here. You're coming forward. Abs are on nice and tight. Then you push the rest of the torso forward. Look over that forward leg. Shoulders are turned towards that wall. And it goes up in the air, reach toward the ceiling. Okay, after that, you're going to reach down, hop the back leg towards the wall behind you. Really try to sink between those 2 feet, sinking those hips down. Reach down if you need to feel a stretch. If, like me, you're getting that 4 or 5 out of 10 stretch like this, you do not need to. I'm going to reach that inside hand up, stack the shoulders, looking at that hand if I can. Couple breaths there. Around the outside of the foot. Shove those toes, or those hips back, pardon me, into a nice little stretch from the back of the leg. And again, you can drop that back knee if you need to feel that stretch. All right. Okay, so from here, we are going to get into this position right here. 90-degree bend in the front leg, relatively close to that in the back leg. Okay, and so from here, all I'm going to do to start is I'm going to just lean forward, drop my chest down. I'm going for a stretch where the bottom leg is making contact with the floor. Couple breaths there. Now I'm going to reach. I'm going to turn into a little bit of a nice, little bit of stretch through the lower and mid back. Not pushing that super hard, but I am getting a little bit of a stretch. Back to that starting position. And now we're going to switch sides. So again, I'm going to start out, I'm rotating this shoulder down. My spine's nice and long. I'm not rounding through the back. Getting a nice stretch where my leg is making contact with the floor on the outside of my hip. Again, roughly close to 90 degrees here. Good call with that heart rate check. Never a bad idea. Again, we're going to get into that twist. And again, spine's relatively long still. We're not rounded through the back. Change the place the hips are. That'll change the stretch a little bit. All right, back to the front. Okay, what we're going to do next is you're getting into a nice all fours position, just like this right here. You're going to drop your hips backwards, crawl those fingers forwards, relax the chest, the head go onto the floor. Couple of breaths there. Then you're just going to gently alternate from side to side, biasing one lat or the area in the armpit, one at a time. And now we're actually going to reach to one side. You don't need to reach way over to the side. Usually just a nice little subtle reach is just fine. You can kind of lean into that side. Feel free to anchor that hand with the free. So I'm not too sure how long I lost you guys for, but we're almost done here. So we're going to continue wrapping up for the next couple minutes, and hopefully my phone doesn't shut down again. So from that all fours position we were doing before, we're going to arch your back and look up at the ceiling. Pause there. A couple of breaths. Round your back, look down between the knees. All right, guys, so it looks like I'm going to lose my connection here in a sec. So I know we're just a couple of minutes early ending. I want you guys to know that Scott and I will remain in the room for the next 15 minutes, answer questions. Again, apologies for shutting this down a little soon, but I guess I'm having some technical problems. Once again, thanks for coming out and working hard. I understand that doing this austere stuff isn't necessarily the most fun or the best when you have all the good equipment we got at the gym, but it's certainly better than nothing. If you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, once again, Scott will be around afterwards. Feel free to please follow the sports fitness page here. And yeah, thanks again for tuning in. Thanks for listening to me breathe heavily for about 60 minutes. And yeah, we will see you guys next time.